Hello, welcome to today's Back to the City. Today I have one half, 2 quarters, 2 of 4 members
One half
of XLCR. Yeah, that is one half.
Yeah,
I'm not that great at math, but we're all 3 of us have that down.
correct.
Who do we have here? Who are you?
Hey, I'm Bennett Hull. I'm a singer-songwriter.
My name is Lester Cherry Holmes. I'm the co-front man of this here band. I sing and play guitar as well.
And who else do we have in the band?
We've got Josh here on the drums with the giddy smile over there, and then the one with the chappy hat over here is Ben playing the bass.
Yeah, and you're about to put out your first EP.
Our very first EP.
Yeah.
We're very excited about this. I can't really
Yeah.
begin to describe what experience has been like, and be able to actually have some songs out there to be able to play, you know?
Well, don't hesitate to describe it. It's called Don't Hesitate.
Yep.
Why is it called Don't Hesitate?
Don't Hesitate was the name that we came up with when we had sat down and looked at all 5 songs on the EP and went through the actual lyrics of the song. We actually looked at each other and we're like, what are some of the lyrics on there that come up the most?
Common threads, recurring themes. Yeah.
And don't hesitate, or hesitation, the word itself came up at least 2 times with the 5 songs that were on the EP. And we kind of looked at each other, rattling off, brainstorming some names for this EP. We're like, what about Don't Hesitate?
Yeah.
And we just kind of paused for a second, just like, I think it works.
You hesitated briefly.
Briefly.
Yeah.
And then you thought, never again. No more hesitation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All then.
We were pretty committed after that.
Yeah. I've noticed some really interesting ways in which the songs speak to one another. The song I know the most is, we frequent the same open mic very frequently.
Yes.
We're frequent frequenters of the Motoe open mic. If you want to track us down, we'll be there pretty
Absolutely.
much every Tuesday evening. Shout out to JT and everyone else.
Yeah.
But Bitch Please is the song that I've heard the most in that contest. It's a good song. But it strikes me that, well, not really, but it strikes me that in the chorus of that, there is a reference to trying to keep you by my side.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then in Breathe, stay by my side. It's like, there's the invitation. Stay by my side. I will breathe for us. I will do my best to keep everything together. But in the song Breathe, it's proving difficult. Yeah. The lyrics are, I can't breathe, no air in reach, I can't breathe, pressure is getting to me. So we want to pull the weight for, in the moments in the interpersonal relation where the other person is really struggling, in those moments we really want to pull the weight for the 2.
Right.
But the song is kind of encapsulating that moment where it's like, can I actually do this? Is it healthy? Yeah, is that right?
Correct.
And then, how does that song, with that message, relate to Bitch Please, where, again, we've tried to keep the person by my side?
Yeah, I would say I wrote Breathe about my friend that was dealing with, she was having a hard time with suicide.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those metaphors are saying like, hey, like you have people there like for you. I'm one of those people, and yeah, I'm trying to lift you up, and I'm trying to do all these things and make sure that like you're happy with your life. And whereas Bitch Please is, I was in a very like angry kind of relationship with with my aunt, and I was trying to do like all the things to make her happy, and nothing I did like really seemed to help. And so that it was kind of a, hey, like I'm doing all these things for you and you're not reciprocating these feelings back.
I'm trying to anticipate and understand and meet your needs, but it's not working.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have, I don't know why you do those things to me. is a recurring lyric in the first verse, and initially, like, as you're saying, you know, you're putting lots of energy into this interpersonal relation, and it seems like you're just getting given problems. So, like,
Yeah.
I love how the song becomes, like, there's a lot of nuance to the song that isn't there's more nuance than is immediately audible, like on first listen, because it's a really fun song. Yeah.
Right.
But by the end, well, the second verse, there are things being said to you.
Yeah.
You said your ma did everything for you, your accomplishments, she just walked you through. So the person is kind of, by now, like belittling themselves, like presenting this negative story about themselves. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know why you'd say these things to me. Like, it just, you seem more perplexed in this second verse. Like in the first verse, you're kind of annoyed.
Right.
Like, I'm trying here and I'm not being seen, and there isn't like an equal exchange, not reciprocal.
Right.
But then there's just, and then by the very end, you told me I was replaceable, but the person who replaced me almost sank your boat.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're mad at me. And it just seems quite, like, genuine. Like, I don't understand why. Why are you mad? Like, please.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. So I like that. I like that it kind of, that there's that in the final verse, and that in the chorus, there has been this effort to keep the person by the side. It's not just like, you know, we've arrived at bitch, please, you know, as a kind of like desperation, as a, and just to kind of take that moment and all of the work before that's led to arriving at that moment and encapsulate all of that in the song, I think is interesting.
Yeah. No, I never really thought about it like that way, but no, you're extremely right.
I'm making the song less funny.
Yeah,
and
no,
more
I mean
profound.
that's good. Like I didn't necessarily write the song to be funny. I mean,
Right,
but
yeah.
like how you described it. Like at first, you know, I was trying to do all these things to make my aunt happy and like
Yeah.
to be by her side, and then at the end of it, you know, like it did reach the point where, hey, like you like. I quit. You replaced me, and then the person, like literally, like that's not a metaphor. Like
Sure.
the person that replaced me didn't like put the boat plug back in her boat. And
Oh.
so when they took off to go on their I used to be a snorkel guide in Hawaii,
Right.
And so when they took off for the trip, they didn't have the boat plug in the hull of the boat,
Yeah.
so it almost sank because the hull was like filling up with water.
Wow.
And so
So-
she got like really mad at me because I quit for X, Y, and Z reasons I like wrote about in the first part of the song, and then she got all mad at me, you know
That wouldn't happen on your watch.
yeah, that wouldn't, yeah,
No
it wouldn't
boat
have
sank
happened on my
on your
watch. Yeah,
watch,
yeah, it never happened on my watch. Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah. So so I mean, it's something that literally happened, but also metaphorically, you know,
Yeah.
it does work.
Yeah.
Metaphorically too. So that's a nice seg to the second song, Flow. How the hell did I
get
here? Where did my flow go? So, you know, there's like in all of these songs, there are like effort has been made, and there's a sense of just, I don't know why you're mad at me. I don't know why my flow is gone. Why is my flow gone? I'm doing the best that I can, and the flow is gone. Why? Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so how does that relate to Don't Hesitate? Like there's this, with the sense that I'm doing the best that I can, things aren't working out. Does that relate to the idea of not hesitating?
Sure. I'll speak on behalf of Josh, who wrote this song here. He wrote this song in a state of mind where he was feeling a bit of turmoil and a bit of stagnancy with where he was at. And when he brought the lyrics to us at the time, it was a point in time where he was feeling he needed to, that he didn't have any real direction with where he was going with where he was going with his emotions, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So he's confused. Then
he
a
was
state of
confused.
confusion. Yeah.
Oftentimes, he eventually would refer back to his twin brother, who he saw moved away from. His brother who was on the other side of the country, and their relationship that they have together. You know, when they're together, they're kind of a duo force, whereas they used to swim with the sharks, used to be the one in charge.
Right.
And you're feeling on top of the world, and you're
Yeah.
feeling like you've got your flow together. But when your best friend is on the other side of the world, your person that you're usually used to spending a lot of time with is not within your midst or on your side.
Yeah.
It can feel like you're trying to fill this void. You're trying to fill this this feeling of something doesn't exactly feel right here. So where does my flow go? Where when I flow with my better half, keeping that flow there intact.
Yeah. Right. It's difficult to maintain flow, especially if there's a sudden rupture or shift.
Yeah.
A factor that we're used to, you know, and one of the key ingredients is suddenly missing. Like, and how do I recalibrate? Can I recalibrate?
So with the don't hesitate,
Yeah.
the hesitation really lies in you know, not just asking yourself, where does my flow go, but going out there and going out and finding your flow.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're listening to the song, the buildup of the song also picks up and makes you feel a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah.
Like you're banging to your own drum, you're your own Energizer bunny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's a good way to think about it.
And not hesitating to pick up the pace and not hesitating to move on or try and find your own self.
The lyric in the song is, the more I think, the more I hesitate. And so there's this alternative to thinking and kind of despairing, becoming overly like cerebral regarding like the intellectual question, but where did it go and why? And instead, like, just feeling into, you know, how does one feel, what needs to happen, like letting the emotions kind of,
The thinking part, how the hell did I get here?
yeah.
That explains it all from the song aspect. Whereas the more I think, the more I hesitate. How the hell did I get here?
Right.
Yeah, I would say that particular line in the song just deals with everybody, that like you have a lot of opportunities that you can capitalize on or go forward with. But if you think too long about it, that opportunity might pass you by. So kind of...
There's a kind of like not being in the present that
Right.
happens if you're reflecting too much on the present. It
Yeah.
like, separates you from it.
Yeah, like whenever anything comes about, like if you think about it too much, like it's great to plan, it's great to do things, but you know that there are a lot of times where, hey, if you think about it too long, you know, you miss your window of opportunity to achieve what you're trying to achieve or to do what you wanted to do. And so that line in that particular song, like, hey, the more I think, the more I hesitate about doing something. And sometimes it's kind of like, you know, like, hey, like, I'm just going to do this right now. And this is, you know, I have this opportunity, like, let's go.
Yeah. There's, that's an interesting, a good seg to B-side work, because you were saying you missed the window of opportunity, and it seems like the premise for B-side is, I'm trying not to double tap from an Insta 3 years back. It's the only time I'll ever say that sentence.
Yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough.
But it's interesting because it's like, okay, this was a past window, and now, you know, debating whether or not to return. It's impossible to return to the past, but so what's going on? What is going on there? Like we've had a song about flow and being in the present and the impediments to being in the present, and here we're considering reviving something that's kind of dead in the past.
So, when we were writing our 5-song EP, the guys here in the group had challenged me to put my singer-songwriter abilities to work, and this was more of an incomplete song or a couple different side projects at the time. But the one line that really stuck out the most in the song was "Nothing but misery, dead like a Kennedy, and every August I choke on the memory."
Yeah.
I wrote that line in particular when I was going through a bit of a rough phase with a breakup that we had been seeing each other for quite some time, and things didn't quite end on the way that we meant it to end, or it was kind of elongated, and it was something that was a very hard hill to get over.
Yeah.
And that line, for me, more so resonated because every August, it was the one time that we got together. August was our anniversary, and feeling dead like a Kennedy was just kind of the feeling of, like, I'm stuck in this area here, and the overwhelming presence of remembering what it was like to be in this was something to choke on. It was quite overwhelming.
Yeah, it's an interesting analogy then with the brother in flow. We're noticing the absence of something. In the scenario is different, but again, we're in a particular place where we're used to something being there, and then we're being thrown off by the lack, the absence.
Yeah.
It seems incomplete. Kind of seems impossible to get the flow back because the previous flow was so built around this now missing component.
Yeah. And so with the B-side, with B-side, the chorus in itself was just the kind of phase of going down that constantly thinking, the more I think, the more I hesitate, the more I think, the more I'm stuck in this moment, being stuck in the past, and the harder that I make the harder I make it for myself to get over this hill. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I'm always going to wonder what I mean to you, and having to think about that so much was one of the biggest hills to get over, because when you're with somebody for so long, it takes a bit longer to really realize I spent a lot of time with this person, and I did a lot of things, and I accomplished a lot of things with this person. It's kind of hard not to think about that, but it's one of those things eventually you have to stop thinking about or not think about as much, because memory lane is fun to visit.
Yeah.
But if you stay down there too long, you're going to get lost.
Right, you're going to suffocate. You're not going to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
Nice transition.
And I don't know whether this is intentional, but the two final songs, in the penultimate song in Breathe, as we kind of began talking about a little bit at the beginning of the interview, we're down to deep. We're trying to rescue the drowning other.
Right.
In our mind, at least, the interpersonal relation is going wrong because the other person is suffering, and so we can shift it temporarily into like swimming and saving them. But actually, we're a imperfect human too, and we're losing faith in our capacity to do that. And it seems like it's not going to work out. But then in the final song, Skinny Dip, there is this pleasant experience of swimming together. And it's joyful, and there's presence, and there's flow. We're all in the flow. Is that an intentional thing, that we have the drowning together and then the swimming together?
I think you have to go to suffer a bit in order to get to a point where you're able to float your own boat, or to be able to achieve happiness, or to come to accept everything else. Because like the 5 stages of grieving, the last stage is acceptance, and being able to come to terms with that is an important part of the process in order to be able to continue on, or to be able to move on from something.
We can keep our boat afloat even when someone, what do they do? Almost sinks it. When there's a risk of someone like making a mistake, It's difficult to keep our boat afloat and to remain in the flow, but not impossible. You know, if we're,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it wasn't like necessarily intentional to write two songs, like one about like someone drowning and another one being like a fun kind of water experience.
Yeah.
But just kind of
Very
like
fun water
based,
experience.
you
Very
know,
science
yeah,
based,
you know, just kind of based on my life. I like making a lot of water references.
Yeah.
And those are just kind of two ideas that came to me. I didn't really think like, oh, hey, I wrote this song about Breathe. That's about like me trying to save this person that's drowning. Oh, hey, like let me write a song on the flip side of things about being like, oh, hey, let's like go out skinny dipping and on Lake Calhoun. You know, like those are just kind of like two events that have happened in my life. And yeah, so I guess I wouldn't necessarily say it was intentional, but you know, I guess not by accident either.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lovely transition, actually, now that you think about it.
Yeah, and it's nice that Skinny Dip is the note on which we end.
Yeah.
And that, of course, has, and you did not hesitate. So the previous, earlier on,
Yeah,
the
we're hesitating a
hesitation
lot.
is like, oh, that's what's impeding the flow. This, like, not being in the present, the reflecting and the wanting the present to be different than it is because it's missing the sting and so it's wrong. Here it's like, oh, we are beautifully, like magically creating this thing that neither of us thought would be happening 10 minutes ago. It was bar closed. We thought it was the end of the night. Now we're skinny dipping in this lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's the opposite. And like,
Oh yeah, it's incredibly the opposite.
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
I prefer this.
yeah. I mean, I prefer it too. You know. Yeah, it was, you know, it just like you described it. You know, like bar closed. We're going to the car. We're in Uptown. We were by Lake Calhoun. It was called at the time. Now it's Speed Makaska, but
Yes.
the opportunity kind of happened, and it was like, yeah, you know, like let's do it. Like let's not hesitate. Like none of us hesitated.
Yeah.
I was actually with one of my friends he's much. Typically, he would not do one of he'd be the one that's hesitating, and he'd be like, I don't know, like we could get in trouble for doing this and X, Y, and Z things, and he was with us, and at the end of the night, he was like, you know what, that might have been like one of the most fun nights I've had in my life.
Yeah.
And all we did was go swimming.
Well, we've never seen each other this way.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to be like, oh, here's this component of this person that, you know, if we were like, what we thought was the flow, like the MO, if we were just stuck in the MO,
Yeah.
we wouldn't see this unseen
side
part
of the
this
person.
friend.
Yeah.
I mean, we love the friend already, but there's this like exciting like treasure trove of capabilities, you know, that are below the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of the people I worked with, like, professionally, so kind of being out in the town, like, on the weekend, and just being able to do a spur-of-the-moment thing was kind of like, wow, like, I haven't seen this, I just haven't had the opportunity to, like, see this side of you guys, and, like, now I have, it's like, wow, like, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's about taking risks and being able to live in the moment quite a bit, and it can be applied to real life experiences. I mean, if anybody's listening to the song and is thinking, well, taking those kind of risks and making those jumps to go skinny dipping or taking up those opportunities, why not take up that opportunity?
Yeah, and it seems to be kind of contagious too, in a good way. The flow is contagious. So, you know, if the friend who would be hesitant to do this is seeing all their friends skinny dipping, like it's easier to be like, oh, actually,
I can do this too.
I can do this too.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the most beautiful moment on the record is the choruses and the harmonies on You Did Not Hesitate.
Okay.
And I think it's beautiful because it is like the coming. It's not just like an internal flow that's maintained, but like the friendship group is flowing and it's functioning better, and there's this freedom. You know, it's still the unit. It's not like there's just enough continuation, like the song "Born to Fly," like the familiarity of that song. Everyone knows the lyrics, they're singing along. So there's familiarity, the pattern from before is still there, but there's just enough fluidity to allow these beautiful new things to happen. And the fact that we have the multiple voices coming together, like, you know, is parallel, I think, to the multiple people achieving this flow together.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we just did too.
Yeah.
We've just been doing that,
Yeah.
achieving the flow together.
And now that you think about it that way, I mean, we placed the songs the way we did, based off of the variety. But now when you mention it that way, you know, I've always been taught, you know, if you're gonna go out with a bang, always have something high key to come out on top of, and that's the motto and the flow and the model that I want to follow.
Sure.
As far as it goes, and you said it beautifully. I don't think you could have expressed that any better.
Yeah. Well, we found the beauty in the song, and then
Exactly.
we beautifully reflected on the beauty in the song, and the fact that, come to think of it, you know, with these 5 songs in this order, we've transitioned from a moment of exasperation because we can't understand why this person is not. There's this non-acceptance of the other person. Like there's some kind of misunderstanding. We think that we've been present to help. You know, we're pretty sure. We're being self-reflective about it. Like, I am really intentionally trying to be here to help you, and it's just not working. So we're infuriated. There's a lack of flow. Why can't they just be different, and then things will be better? To radical acceptance of the other person and achievement of flow with all the parts. It's a nice journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way. But yeah, no, that's.
But that's
That was
saying,
beautiful.
Yeah, but that's incredibly true.
yeah, could write a book about your EP.
Yeah. Yeah.